On Thursday, the future of the Knicks will essentially be determined by a New York wing four. Will the lottery ball lead them to a different ball? And what's the backup plan if they once again fall short? We'll break it all down on the Putback with Ian Begley. Ian's guest is once again Rashad Phillips, a prospect analyst and draft analyst and founder of SportsTalk2319.com.
Any reason to think that the LaMelo Ball, RJ Barrett backcourt isn't a great fit, perfect fit?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a perfect fit. I would definitely call it a good fit. When you look at what RJ Barrett brings to the table, obviously he has that tough mindset. He loves to score. He's not a great jump shooter, but he's getting better. He's evolving as a player. When you bring somebody like LaMelo Ball who has that magnetism about him, he creates and makes people around him better. And I think they'll play well off each other.
Rashad, do you also see LaMelo as the best fit for a player like Mitchell Robinson?
I do. I mean, when you look at, drafting players like a LaMelo Ball, they bring so much to the table with them. And obviously a guy like Mitchell Robinson, who doesn't need a lot of offense ran for him, but can also receive passes from a guy like LaMelo Ball. He's a catch and lob guy. He's a rim runner. So anytime you can match a hybrid player like that with a LaMelo Ball, I think you enhance what already he brings to the table. And obviously that's catching lobs and finishing around the basket.
We talk about Tom Thibodeau. We talk about defense first. Do you see LaMelo being able to defend at the NBA level adequately, exceptionally? Where do you see him defensively?
I look at the lineage of LaMelo Ball. His older brother, Lonzo Ball, is a pretty good defender. Obviously, with Coach Thibodeau, he stresses the defensive side of the ball, but LaMelo has all of the attributes to be a really good defender. He has long arms. He has quick twitch. He has great anticipation skills. When these players come into the NBA at such a young age, they don't really stress the defensive side of the ball because people like us, we highlight offense. We rarely talk about defense. So obviously it's going to take him a minute to get adjusted, but I do believe he's going to be a fantastic defender once you give him enough time.
Let's count it down with the starting five. Ian, who are your top 5 Knicks draft picks over the last 20 years?
Tough list to put together, Maurice. I'm going to go with Danilo Gallinari at 5. Obviously, it didn't work out for him in New York, but you see how well he was valued across the league based on the rest of his career. Then I'm going to go David Lee. Very, very, very valuable player, 2-time All-Star. Also didn't work out long-term in New York, but he was valued by other GMs across the NBA. Then I'm going with Trevor Ariza, second-round pick in the Isaiah Thomas era. Obviously, a very long NBA career, very good pick there. Then you're looking at more recently, Kristaps Porzingis. A lot of people didn't love the pick at the time. We remember the reaction of Knicks fans at the draft. Obviously turned out to be a special player with the number 4 pick there. Another one who didn't work out in New York long term. And the number 1 pick for me in the last 20 years for the Knicks is Mitchell Robinson. And it's pretty obvious because of where they got him in the draft. They picked him 36th. Every team obviously passed on him. And here he is a couple of years later looking like a young building block for this Knicks franchise. But Maurice, I'd be remiss if I didn't throw in an honorable mention here because the Knicks over the last 20 years have traded so many first-round picks. So I'm putting Jamal Murray on my list, not because he was a Knicks pick, but because the Nuggets selected him with one of the picks they got from the Knicks in the Carmelo Anthony trade. We could do a whole separate segment on that aspect of the draft for this team.
Look, I get the Mitchell Robinson being up there. He was drafted second round, but Kristaps isn't number 1. Kristaps was a great pick. There were minefields all over that draft. I know it kind of fell in their lap, right? If Okafor was available, maybe they would have taken him. But I got to say Kristaps is the best pick they've had.
Totally fair, Maurice. I think we have to wait and see on how he does in Dallas, if he remains healthy. But right now I'm just looking at Robinson based on where they took him as a really good pick.
Long live Gallo. I'm a huge Danilo Gallinari fan. I feel like he always got the bad rap in New York, but consistent, great career, and the perfect stretch 4. Is there a better stretch 4 besides someone who may play defense?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you look at that Carmelo trade and who went out, and you say, man, if Gallinari stayed with the Knicks with Carmelo, or if Ray Felton or Wilson Chandler stayed with the Knicks with Carmelo, how different things could have been. And Gallo's at the top of that list with that conversation.
Hey Ian, I want to talk about KP, and by that I mean the real KP, Kenny Payne. This hire just feels different. Do you think they're bringing him in to get guys like Knox right, to help develop some more big guys like Mitch into like AD kind of player? Or do you think they're bringing him in to recruit?
Hey Ryan, yeah, I think it is everything you mentioned there. The Knicks' new KP, Kenny Payne, brings a diverse skill set, and I think you're shortchanging Kenny Payne though if you say, he's just here to recruit players, because if you listen to those players who played for him at Kentucky talk about him, he was instrumental in their development. Talk about guys like Kevin Knox and Julius Randle, and really all the Knicks players will benefit from Payne's presence, but it can't hurt the Knicks if Payne has a close relationship with a player that they are going after. Let's just, for hypothetical purposes, say Devin Booker or Karl-Anthony Towns. It's not going to hurt. I don't think it's going to be at the top of any free agents list, but it's certainly going to bolster the Knicks' chances.
You obviously are a LaMelo Ball guy, right? You're high on the kid. But what do you think about the next, tier of point guards in the draft? I'm talking about the Cole Anthonys, the Kira Lewises, the Killian Hayeses.
I like all three. I probably like Kira Lewis the best out of those three. So fast and gifted. He really understands pace. He understands how to get the ball to the right people at times. And a lot of the stuff that Kira does, it doesn't really show up in the box scores. You really have to just watch his game. Killian Hayes, this kid is so good off the ball screen. He can get to wherever he wants to. He has that experience. He's not afraid to take big shots. Last but not least, Cole Anthony, he has a mentality of that he never stops. And that's what I love about him. He has a scorer's mentality. Cole is the guy that swings for the fences every time he touches the ball. Now that sometimes that's not good, but when he connects, it's fantastic. And so I don't think you can really go wrong with drafting either three of those guys, but they do bring a different perspective to the game.
Let's say the Knicks totally nix this lottery, right? They end up with a much lower pick than all the fans want. Should they go for the best point guard available or just pick the best player available?
I would go point guard. If I'm in the Knicks office and let's say they get the 8th pick or the 9th, and LaMelo obviously is going to be gone, you got to look at Cole Anthony. You have to look at him. Hometown kid is going to bring some flavor. He's already comfortable there. Kira Lewis is, maybe the dark horse pick here. He played at Alabama, doesn't have a huge following. So that kind of plays into the New York grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I know fans get into the followings of the players. If you're Leon Rose and you're in that draft room, don't look at the Instagram followers on these kids. Take the best player that's there. I know the Knicks also have a late first-round pick from that Marcus Morris trade with the Clippers. We don't know exactly where it's going to end up. It's probably going to be one of the last 5 picks in the first round. What prospects do you see that could be there that could be a fit for New York?
I really love Jalen Smith out of Maryland. Prototypical stretch big, a great shot blocker. Just plays at a high level, all-conference Big Ten player. And as I watched him throughout the season, he just got better and better and better. You pair him with a LaMelo Ball or Cole Anthony or Kira Lewis, I just see the Knicks being more exciting. And also, Jalen Smith is a terrific defender, which fits under Coach Thibodeau and how he likes to play.
Rashad, thanks so much for joining us. For Maurice, I'm Ian. We'll see you next time on the Putback.